If this were the real world, I would buy all of the money in the planet. Do you know how to hand me a new life? I was vaping and contemplating that this life might be far out there. I stand on the edge of infinity with nothing left to question. I have transcended this world. Oh, joy.
No power in the verse can stop me.
What's going on, guys? My name is El De Niro, and welcome to episode 109 of the Midnight Hour. Joining me today, back by popular demand, is the big dog, Miggy Mig.
Hey, back by popular demand. That has been said and cannot be denied.
What was...
Legit.
You got like one message the last time and it was someone telling you to go fuck yourself, is that correct?
In caps, that's right. And I did, and I came back to tell the story. He thought he had one on me, but, you know.
Little did he know I actually possessed the ability to fuck myself.
Yeah. Maybe he knew too.
Yeah,
But-
maybe.
Yeah, look, it's nice to hear from fans.
That's
Irrefutable.
So tell us, how did you put it in your belly button? Well, that's really weird.
I shouldn't really talk about the methods, I
That's
think.
true, yeah.
That's a different episode.
That's true.
The 110 How to Fuck Yourself.
We're in the subset of the Midnight Hour titled Conspiracies with Miguel, moving on from the last time Miguel was on and we spoke about the Philadelphia experiment and Al Bielek, that shape-shifting, time-traveling, multi-personality having motherfucker. And that was a brilliant episode. I had people talk to me on multiple platforms about how fucking weird the Al Bielek story is, let me tell you. So,
Really?
Yeah. I had one guy talk to me on Steam, the platform that I play games on. So, yeah, there it is.
Can you get that on the Sega? Because if you can't get Steam on the Sega, then I caring for it.
I don't know. Do you really have a Sega? I reckon you were still on the Game Boy.
I've got the Mega Drive collection on the PS3, and I've also got of course I would have this, a Game Boy emulator on my phone. It's great.
Yeah, that is actually pretty cool. I will give you that.
Yeah.
You are without a doubt the biggest pacemaker to the old school that I've ever met in my entire life. So, and I respect.
It's ironic. You know,
it is ironic. Yeah.
if you say it's ironic, then it's not as like, you know what I mean? You don't have to move on because you just go, I'm not really taking Final Fantasy 6 or 7 seriously. It's ironic. I'm playing it ironically. People go, alright, he's playing it ironic. It's cool.
I have this theory that the most ironic person in the world is Alex Turner from Arctic Monkeys. I don't know why him, but I feel like even when he does something that's completely indefensible, like that speech he did at the Brits or whatever, where he was
Through the
talking
mic.
about, that one,
Yeah.
where he was like, that rock and roll, given the cyclical nature of the universe, and it's like, shut your fucking mouth. But everyone defending him is like, oh, he was being ironic, dude, it was a great speech, come on, man, you know he didn't mean it, and it's like, I'm pretty sure he did mean it, though. But anyway, he's like the only guy in the world, he could wear a Nickelback t-shirt, and people would be like, yeah, this guy gets it.
I think that's what you get from hanging out with Josh Homme, who I love, by the way. But he's super like, he's talking to you, and the entire, like, I've seen him do interviews the entire. I mean, I think this is the point. The entire time, I don't know if he's being serious or being sarky because he's so dry either way.
Yeah.
Obviously, with Josh, give him the benefit of the doubt and be like, of course he's being ironic, like he's a god, and that can't be denied.
Even when he's kicking women in the face.
Not specifically then. I think that's kind of a fall from but this is the problem, isn't it? You hold people up to a certain standard as if like he can do no wrong, and then he does wrong, and everyone just goes absolutely mad as if like he murdered someone on stage, like fucking in that Rolling Stones gig when the Hells Angels just went fucking crazy.
Yeah. That's actually really weird because I was reading about that literally 2 days ago. I never knew anything about that before, but 2 days ago I learned about it. So I am there. I get that reference, man.
Yeah. Oh, you've arrived. Yeah.
I meant to tell you, we're already in Tangent City and we haven't even left the dock yet. But I heard from an inside source whom I trust. I heard that Josh Homme was unfairly done by that incident of the kicking thing, and he had actually instructed the people taking pictures and stuff that he didn't want the lights in his face or something like that. And his intent was to kick the camera out of. He thought it was a guy. He thought it was a specific guy who is like an outlier for him, like a guy who kind of goes against his word from time to time. And obviously, it doesn't excuse it, but he kicked a woman in the face, and it doesn't really get much worse than that in this political climate. So I don't know.
Camera being held by a woman in the face.
Yeah.
Like, that's the perfect storm in the world that we live in, I guess.
I'm agnostic to it. I don't really care that much about him. Like, I do think I think he's cool in the sense that he makes good music, but I'm not like that big of a fan. Whereas you are a huge fan, and
I've only got one tattoo of him, so
yeah, that's fair.
Whatever.
And as I said before, this is for the listeners. Miguel has 2 Skype accounts, and each of them has a different Queens of the Stone Age album cover as the picture. So it doesn't get much better than that. So anyway,
it's like my default. Like, I don't know what to put on, and I'll usually search for like chill wave images, which would be like a beach, but it's been like made purple, and the sea's been made like sort of salmon or pink color.
Yeah, man, that vibe. I really want to articulate that vibe, the chill wave thing, right? Like I have in my hand right now this remote control. You hear me? You hear me fidgeting with the remote control? This makes the lights in my room turn a different color. I can set it to purple if I want, blue, green. All the colors are on there. You know all the colors. Or I can make it fade.
I know some of them.
Yeah. But it's the chill wave vibe that I'm tapping into every time, and it's like I can't explain it to people. I don't know. Noel Gallagher's latest album has it as well. It's like just a psychedelic tint to everything.
It's a bit of neon. It's a bit of that like Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, like the anime version, like the films. It's this weird like it's the 80s, but this is what we think the future is.
Yeah, that's
kind of faded.
Retro futurism.
Yeah, I think Vice City does that quite well because you can actually switch that on and off in the game. So if you play the game as it is before you go to the options, you have like this sort of fadiness to it, where it's not blocky, but it's kind of I'm trying to think of the best word. It's kind of sludgy, the way the movement of the camera and all that. I think that's the best way to describe it for me. It's like a bit of neon, like it's bright colors, but they're not blinding, but they are blinding if you stare at them too much. It's like a trip. It's like a mind trip,
like a trip
as a visual concept. Because obviously then you've got the psychedelic, and everyone knows what the psychedelic looks like. That's a story for a different podcast. We should do a chillwave podcast, actually.
That would be awesome, yeah. Like, I genuinely would love to just, like, smoke a joint and talk about what the fuck chillwave is as a concept. And then I would love to listen back to it as well.
And then go stare at that girl doing her homework.
Yeah, the girl doing her homework. And
yeah, that's a reference to a very specific thing. But I think most people who listen to like lo-fi hip hop and like jazzy and chillwave sort of stuff, they'll know what it is.
Yeah,
it's like a radio station, isn't it, on YouTube that's basically playing non-stop.
Yeah, chill lo-fi hip hop beats and stuff. Here, we're gonna do a plug for our wrestling podcast, right? But check out this like little segue question I've set up to ask you. Hey, Miguel, I recognize your voice. Are you on any other podcasts?
Nope.
Yes.
Yes.
I must be thinking of someone else.
I front another podcast. I co-front, I should mention. You might know the other guy. Yeah, I suppose you have to listen to find out who he or she may be.
He is a man that you have immense respect for.
Immense. Immense gratitude and respect. Let's not forget the big two.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm in it, but could you tell me what it's called?
it's called WWP, and it's coming at you live on Mondays and sometimes Tuesdays as well, and
Exactly.
sometimes not on Mondays because we actually alternate between weeks. But when we have bonus content, it goes up there. When we do a long episode about a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble, that usually takes 2 episodes. We review current pay-per-view events in the World Wrestling Federation. No, that's not what it's called anymore. But you can check
Yeah.
our
World Championship Wrestling, I think it's called now.
You can check
Sorry.
our fucking. Why can I only think of the word evolution chamber? What's the fucking thing called?
Elimination
Yes.
Chamber.
The elimination chamber, unless you are in Germany, where it will be called No Way Out. We'll be reviewing that on February, whatever the day after. No, whatever the Tuesday after the pay per view happens is. So look out for that one as well. Other than that, is
We
there
have, we
anything
have,
else you
we
want to
have
say
plenty
about
of
it?
stuff in there. If you at all like, I mean, if there's any crossover between what we're going to talk about here and pro wrestling, I think there will, because I think I've basically taken over your podcast in the conspiracy corner sort of section,
Yeah.
the comedic conspiracy corner, not the actual conspiracy
Well,
corner. Don't want to go.
but to be clear, you do believe all of the conspiracy theories.
I will clear that up at the end of this episode. I'll tell you how much I do believe.
Excellent.
All of it, but I suppose just how much I do, like how deeply, like how fully I am
Yeah.
committed to it. Yeah. So we did an episode on wrestling conspiracies. What have we done? We've done. Okay, so this is getting specific. Let's just say we did a bunch of shows about wrestling. But if you're a fan of me, or not fan of me, that sounds weird. If you're a fan of me. Hey, if you're a fan of us, if you're ever listening to this, do give it a listen. We started reviewing our first sort of, I don't know, set of reviews, our sort of arc of reviews features people like from back in the day, like Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Kevin Nash, Chris Jericho, Undertaker. So if you like
Hurricane
a bit,
Helms,
Hurricane, of course,
Scotty Too Hottie as well.
Albert,
Albert's in
Rikishi,
there. Al
yeah.
Snow.
Al Snow,
Yeah.
Jerry the King Lawler,
And
JR.
Goldust's Golden Trash Can is in there too. So
Exactly. But if you like a bit of nostalgia, we kind of trying to cover recent, semi-recent nostalgia. I've told it's a good listen.
let's tell them what our upcoming one is going to be about. So in 2 weeks, we're now done with the Jericho thing. There's one WrestleMania episode left, and then Jericho's undisputed championship reign is over. Spoiler alert. Then we're going to be doing the elimination evolution chamber.
Just call it No Way Out.
No Way Out.
Part
yeah.
2.
And then we're moving on to a brand new storyline arc where we're going to be having an in-depth look, a revisit to Daniel Bryan's Yes Movement era of 2012, which is like a fan favorite and a household saga. So yeah, tune in for that. That will be coming up. So you can go ahead and listen to us. We're on YouTube. We're on every single podcast app that exists. And
Definitely.
yeah, we're just
man. If you liked wrestling back in the day, and maybe you've fallen out in love with the product, or you just grew up, whichever reason people had for giving up, do give it a listen. I think people will enjoy it. It's a little bit tangenty, so if you like tangents, if you like people kind of bringing in a different type of comedy aspect to wrestling, I think they'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Plug.
Yeah, and the Daily Mail gave us a 10 out of 10, so that's really good.
They wouldn't lie.
Yeah, no,
they never lie.
Yeah, they've never told a single lie. Also, J.K. Rowling said it was the best wrestling podcast that she's ever listened to, and she's a known fan of the of the format. So
Of the biz.
Of the biz, yeah. She's a known mark.
Yeah. Yeah. She did. She said it's the second best thing she's ever read.
Yeah, that's correct.
The first being her own content. It's a bit egotistical, but there you go.
Yeah, that's J.K. Rowling. That's not our problem. So
Yeah.
we're here today to talk about the greatest conspiracy known to... I'm not even going to use the word theory because that would discredit what we're about to talk about. So this is all fact-based, hard-hitting stuff that is scary and believable. Do you think that's a good summary? I think that's pretty accurate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
Who am I to argue? Right?
We're gonna talk about rocks.
In Georgia.
Yeah, rocks in Georgia, which is in America, not the country Georgia. We have a separate episode about rocks in the country Georgia that'll be coming up soon.
That will be controversial. I hear Russians got first dibs on rocks over there, and content about rocks goes to them first.
That's true. Yeah, we're still trying to iron out the kinks in our agreement with Vladimir Putin, but he's actually been pretty cool so far. So hopefully.
Yeah,
we can work something out.
For someone who kills journalists, he's taken this surprisingly well.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that in my...
Allegedly.
in my letter to him, I just used 6 positive adjectives in every single sentence referring to him. So, that's a good thing. He likes that, you know.
Yeah, mention that you like that picture of him shirtless riding the horse.
Yeah, that is
He really held his gut in for that.
The ultimate manly photograph that's ever existed. Yeah. So
just a quick story on Putin. Did you hear that story? I don't know if this is recent at all. I only came across it recently though. That he went deep sea diving and he found some fucking ornament that had been missing for like hundreds of years.
No.
I'm gonna guess he didn't find it, but apparently he did, and that's the kind of guy he is, and that's the kind of shit they use. And obviously we sit here laughing at it. But we're about to talk about some fucking stones and people thinking, well, man, these could be... Actually, no, I'm not going to give it away. Whoa.
Yeah, Jesus.
These stones are amazing. So let's go right into it then, yeah?
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So they are called the Georgia Guidestones. If you don't know what that means, well, basically it's some guy... we'll go through the people are, but I just want to give you an overall summarization. First of all, just a side note, you can go visit this. It's open 24 hours. The phone number, if you Google Georgia Guidestones, you can get the phone number to book like a viewing or to be told exactly where it is. I don't even know if there's an area that's protected because, as far as I'm aware, it was built and it's there. But
there's also reviews. Have you seen them?
No, we should talk about those at the end though. I want to see what the reviews are.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, Just quick backstory on this rock stone, whatever the fuck it is, building area thing. So June 1979, a gentleman, obviously using the fake name Robert C. Christian, went over to some granite company, and he said it was weird because he said he was working on the behalf of a small group of loyal Americans. If someone comes to me and says I'm working on behalf of a small group of loyal Americans, I'd probably be like, right? Why are you telling me this? What do you want?
That sounds like what I would say if I went to the fucking off license to buy cans for everyone in the office. Like, what are you doing here?
I'm working on a loyal group of friends.
I'm here representing a small group of loyal Irish people, and we would like to buy some Eastern European beer, please. Now stop asking me questions.
So he's like pointing at it, and you're just looking around. Oh, not that one. Trying to find the cheapest. Yeah, that one sounds nice. Yeah,
where's the Tiski or whatever, however you pronounce that one?
Yeah, it's the same fishiness that you'd have as well when, say, you are at home and you're home alone and you order takeaway from wherever, and maybe there's some sort of deal that you get shitloads of food for quite a small price. And, the dude comes at the door and you're trying to make it out as if there's loads of people around so he doesn't judge you. Guys, keep it down. Oh, these guys are crazy. Yes, these 4 pizzas are for me. Thank you. And just close the door.
I tell you something that I used to do along those lines when I was about 14, 15. You were probably party to this when we were like on MSN or some shit.
Yeah,
and
boy.
Someone would like walk past the window and like if they looked in, they would just see me on the computer. And in my head, I was like, I was a fucking paranoid kid. I was like, what if this person is walking back from work and when they were walking to work they saw me sitting here at the computer and I'm still here? So what I would do is I would turn around. I'd usually be singing along with whatever music I had on. I'd turn around, sing along with the music, and put an expression on my face that makes it look like I'm speaking to someone behind me.
Like you're reacting.
Yeah, like I'm just like, well, I'm just a guy sitting at the computer. Like there are other people in the room, so this is perfectly sociable and normal. This is a problem that the listeners won't understand because they were literally born the year I was doing this, so they don't get that it's really weird. Like,
yeah, there's a time period where like sitting, I guess, on a computer for age, especially when it was like, you could have it on the go, so it was like static to whatever, you usually like living rooms. Like I seldom did people have like a computer, like the house computer and their own personal one. Usually it'll be like one computer in the house and you hope that it's free when it is and you hog it as much as you can. I used to get that feeling though. It's those weird, like, again, it's those like little trap things that I think everyone has probably experienced at some point. Like I've had the one where, say, I'm walking down the street.
I love this one. I know what you're gonna say. I did.
Have I said this one before?
Not on the podcast, no.
Okay. Now I'll be walking down the street and I'm not supposed to be going where I already am, so I've already made a mistake. But instead of stopping, doing a 180 and just walking back in a different direction, I'll like pretend to look at my phone, pretend to grab my keys, maybe pretend to like sometimes I put my lighter on really low as well and light and be like, oh, it's not working, I better walk in a completely different direction then.
No, the best one is when you look at your watch.
Look at the watch. I was going to say, I'm building up to it. Shit, it's time to walk over there. Instead of just stopping, turning. It's like, oh man, what is the time? Oh, I better walk back where I came from.
There is another element of that too. When you get off the bus, everyone gets off the bus at the same fucking stop, and you're all walking at different paces, and you're trying to figure out, like, right, what pace is everyone here walking at, so I can fit my pace around not walking next to someone, because that's fucking weird. When you're walking next to someone but you don't know the person, I fucking hate that.
Same.
So like,
I'll always try and overtake.
Yeah,
always.
Or if they're
Fall
walking
back.
like slightly too fast, you take your phone out, you stand still, you kind of hold your face up to the phone as if this is really important information that you need to look at straight away. And then when everyone has walked past, you put your phone back in, and then you walk at your pace. You're the one that's in control.
No messages again. There's this person. The upside is she'll never listen to this, so it's not really like. No, I'm not going to name her, obviously, but
you hear that, Jessica? Fuck you.
Yeah, you hear that, Juanita or LaQuisha. Now, checking. No, she used to go to the same gym as I do. I don't think she goes anymore because I haven't seen her in a while. But it's the same kind of concept. We both get off the bus, and yeah, you kind of scope out. It's like if I got off the bus in front of her, I'm fucking speeding. Mm-hmm. She got off first. It's like, yeah, let me just see which song I want to walk for the next 2 minutes. And you go to the gym, and then there's like 2 flights of stairs, and I used to properly slow down there, because then you have to go up and you have to type the code, and then you go in the building, then you're actually at the gym. But like I always slowed the fuck down, because I was always like, this person's fine to talk to at work, but you realize that work talk and outside talk are completely different concepts. So the only thing we would talk about at work would be, are you going to the gym? But if you're on your way, are you going to the gym? I'm literally here.
On your way to the gym, you say, you going to work tomorrow?
Yeah. That's quite clever, actually. I wouldn't be able to think of that. Or look at the clock, look at my watch, and go, oh, shouldn't be at the gym. Yeah. I should be somewhere else, and just walk away. So again, anyways, back to old Robert, aka Robert Mugabe. No, I'm joking.
Robert Christian.
It was Robert. Yeah, Robert C. Mugabe.
Let's just do a real quick test to find out if we can make some kind of extra thing. So his name is what? Robert Christian?
Yeah.
But there's also
Robert
a C. Robert
Christian.
C. Christian. That makes it a bit.
Do you know what the C stands for?
Christian.
Damn it. Cunt. That's what it stands for.
Oh, dude, I just found out something fucking awesome. If you Google the word anagram, it comes up and says, did you mean nag at ram?
That's hilarious. I mean, that is a joke within a joke.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is. Right, so let's see. Robert C. Christian. Let's find out if there is an anagram pertinent to some kind of conspiratorial element in the... I've had to continue talking here because the thing is still searching while I'm talking.
I just saw a website that said he was potentially 2 people.
Yeah. Al
But there you
Bielek.
go.
Someone else.
He was Al Bielek, and what was like his other name? He had like another name, didn't he?
You'd be doing well now to remember that.
Yeah, probably just go and listen to that episode if you want to know anything about Al Bielek.
That was one of the fucking funniest episodes, to be honest. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, so this anagram thing isn't giving me anything, so fuck it. Anyway, Robert C. Christian.
You can just call him RCC, because I can't be
RCC.
asked to be saying his full name.
RCC, in the
Yeah.
place to be. You coming with me if you... Anyway, continue.
Yo, you're dealing with the X Factor. Yeah, so he says, yeah, I'm coming here on behalf of a small group of loyal Americans, and he had the money, so he commissioned the statue.
He walked into a statue shop one day. He's like, one statue, please.
One loyal statue, please. So the idea there, he was passing the message would be there would be like a calendar, a clock, a compass, and it should be strong enough to like withstand proper catastrophic events. So Joe Fendley, who worked at the granite shop, I don't know, company, I guess they're a company.
The granite shop.
He's known to have called him a nut and tried to discourage him by giving him like a massively, like much high inflated quote. Be like, normally say it costs 25 grand, probably wouldn't, but let's just say that number because I don't know what the numbers are. But he's like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, what, a rock with mad stuff on it, yeah, that's gonna cost you like 300 million. He's like, loyalty, Americans, here's your money, let's do this.
Yeah.
So Christian at this point explained that he had been planning they've been planning the Guidestones for about 20 years. So 1959, there's an idea, the stones. So, yeah, that's kind of the backstory. So he bought the land for some farmer, built the Guidestones. What is interesting about this particular situation was that he had some inscriptions written, in 8 different languages, and he had sort of 10. I don't know if they're commandments or sort of like just sort of guides. I don't know. Do you want to go through these?
The guy. I say before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit more about the structure. It looks like, if anyone did Irish history, it looks a little bit like a Portal Dolmen. And if anyone did English history, it looks a little bit like Stonehenge. And it's actually been referred to as the American Stonehenge, which is ridiculous for a number of reasons. It's a bunch of rocks that are rectangular, and
they're like slabs, aren't they?
They're slabs, yeah, and each of them is facing in a different direction, but it's not northwest, southeast. It's more like northwest, north, northeast. No, I don't know what it fucking is. They're all facing out in different directions, alright, you motherfuckers?
It's like pillar in the middle,
yeah,
slab on top, and then 4 slabs facing sort of semi-sideways. So if you're looking at them at an angle from the front, obviously you'd be able to still see everything, but they're kind of, I don't know how, yeah, they're there. Maybe put a picture up at this point, like a 2-second picture, like, what's that called? They do in films, or used to do in films, where they'll flash a picture for like 1 second.
Oh, I've done that before.
Subliminal.
I've done that before with I did this FIFA series, and my name on there is Illuminati, because that's what I refer to my fans collectively as the Illuminati. And I was typing that in on the screen to name my team, and then I flashed up this really, really quick thing of the Illuminati eye, and I got some comments accusing me of being a Satanist. So there you go. But yeah, so Stonehenge itself is a big load of shite. I really don't get why people think it's so good. It's just a bunch of rocks placed on top of each other. If you want to see a really cool thing, come to Ireland and go to Newgrange, because that's actually good and not just a bunch of rocks that people pretend are good.
People pretend it up. I think they buy it. That's, yeah, okay.
Stonehenge is like the Olympics. It's just this thing that everyone just gets together and pretends is good, but it's actually not.
Yeah, it's far more interesting in concept than it is in display.
Yeah.
Because if you do go up there, I always get this with these sort of things. Like, say if you climb a mountain and you get all these like rush of feelings. I always think that I wouldn't. Like, I'm my brain's very literal. Like, what are you looking at? Like, what are you seeing here? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't get like all ethereal and being like, oh, imagine 100,000 years ago what they were going through. Listen, if I go to Egypt and see the pyramids, I'd be like, this is incredible. It's huge. It clearly took a lot of manpower.
It's right
Or
across the road from a Burger King, by the way. Not
or
really that impressive.
or dinosaur power. The Burger King is that in the pyramids
It's
as well?
inside the pyramid, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's cheeky as well. But yeah, like I think I'd be more overwhelmed because of its size and grandeur and sort of like you know, you can get. By the way, apparently you can get a cab from like your hotel straight there because everyone who ever goes to Egypt will just go and see them. But
Yeah, I'm very much like, I really don't give a shit about any of these things, and I know that
you
I
know,
should, and I know that they're great, and they represent this wonder and awe, and it's fantastic. But like, I am now on the Stonehenge Wikipedia page, right, and there's a picture of Stonehenge, and interestingly, it says Stonehenge in 2007, as if I'm supposed to look at it in the present day and go, it's aged well. But yeah,
what about in 2005? How did it look then?
that's the question. But I've just enlarged the photo and I'm looking at it, and to be honest, I highly fucking doubt that being there feels any different than looking at this photograph of Stonehenge.
Yeah,
Willing
like the
to,
thoughts that you'd have, and you have to pay a lot to go there, don't you?
yeah, probably. I don't know. Like, just fucking Google it, folks. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really have like no wonder inside me. Everything that I think is like, yeah, well, we're all just a bunch of nothing in the middle of space.
Yeah, man.
Deal with
Until you
haters.
go to Amsterdam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because they've got a big phallic symbol there, and after a few trips to the cafe, you do think like that must be fucking gigantic. But then you just look up and you realize it isn't. And then you move on, and then you do a podcast, and then you say that out loud, and you realize how normal it sounds.
There you have it.
But yeah, it's not so much the build of this thing that's. I mean, it is probably a little bit more interesting to look at than the Stonehenge from a information perspective, because we know who did it. Technically who did it. We know that they had the plans a long time coming. We know that they wrote specific messages. That, and the weird thing is they wrote it, as I said. So we've got 10 guidelines or kind of principles. But I guess if it's called the Georgia Guidestones, we're going to call them guidelines or just general advice. I don't know. Maybe this is before like those like those really generic fucking Instagram posts people do.
Yeah.
With the background, and people take the Mickey out of it because they'll have like
You just said
boys,
Miggy.
The Mickey.
You said Miggy. You said your own name.
Did I say Mickey?
Yeah.
As if, people take the Miguel. Yeah, people rip the dick out. Yeah, the ones that would be like, a lesson learned. I'm making this up, but it'd be like, oh, a lesson learned is a lesson learned. But it'll be like behind some, over some sort of hill, and you'll be like, whoa, and it's not that deep. Maybe that's what they wanted to do, but they didn't have Instagram
That's
at the time.
I have that kind of vibe going on my Instagram too, and I think it's like, honestly, with me, it's like a combination of it. This is a cool photo, I'm gonna give it a cool caption, and also people who do this are fucking dicks. Like, I'm like self-deprecating while I'm doing it. Like,
are you being ironic? Are you in the Arctic Monkeys as well?
Perhaps vampires. No, whatever. Yeah, I.
But I know what you mean. You would. And I think that's kind of the bit where I fall out of is the bit where like I'll be looking at something and you have this sort of, most people don't, maybe they do, I don't know, but you have this sort of dual thing going on. That one time, and the first time in your head, you're like, wow, this is amazing. The second time, like, should I be feeling something much bigger than me, and should it take over me, and I should just be like, look around and like look at a complete stranger and just drop like the deepest quote on him and be like, be one with nature, otherwise nature will punish you, and just walk away. And people go, who is this man?
Yeah.
Why was he talking to me? And I better write that down. And they put on the quote and say unknown. But yeah, they have the Georgia Guidestones in 8 languages. They have it in English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian.
And one other thing, I watched like a very brief No, I fucking didn't. I was looking at pictures of these fucking stones earlier, and there's a part that has in ancient Greek and in Babylonian as well, I think. So I don't think it's just those 8 languages. I think there's other languages too.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So they were specifically going for super popular languages, and kind of ones that cover all terrains of the Earth, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Asia, Europe, the Americas, so and the other ones, Africa, and the other couple of whatever. Basically the whole world's covered here. So even if you put fucking Latin as well and all this, so it's covered. You could be from anywhere on Earth, and one of them you'd understand what's said. So so let's go through these and kind of analyze them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm using speech marks here. So the first one is maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, first thing that jumps out at me here is that this is not a fucking proper grammatical sentence. Maintain humanity under 500 million what? Books? Dinosaurs?
Legs.
Legs.
So it's half of the people.
So we need to have a quarter of 250 million, a quarter of a billion in perpetual balance with nature.
It depends if all those people have legs. Some people have one leg.
That's true. On average, there are more people in the world with one leg than there are with two. There's a fact.
On average?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's some flaw in the average statistic, I think. I forget. I was taught this in school in maths, and I don't remember it. But it's obviously not true, but it's statistically true because of the law of averages being stupid or some shit. I don't know.
So I should mention at this point that in 1959, when they I suppose came up with a concept, at the time there were 2,900,000,000. And I'm not going to go into the actual exact number. Let's just say there was almost 3 billion people on Earth at that point, right?
Yeah.
That's 1959. 1979, there was 17 people. No, I'm joking. There was almost 4.5 billion people on Earth. So, bullshit. You've already gone way past that. So, let's just see something real quick that just came to. At which point was there 500 million people on Earth?
You have some very, very specific Googling skills. At which point was there? I would just.
It's funny because that just came up with the Georgia Guidestones. so it seems that at no point, because literally it comes up. With the same websites I just went on. So
I'm gonna teach you how to Google things. All right, world population by year.
That's what I did for the other one, but
no, you asked Google a question. You went like, "Dear Google, at which point?" Anyway,
at which point, motherfucker, did
in the year 1804 there was 1 billion in the world. So if we half that. Go to the year 902, then it's probably just kidding. I know that's not how it works. But anyway, so you're looking at like the fucking 15th century potentially for half a billion.
So we're going quite far back for that to be in perpetual balance with nature. Now, the problem with this, I suppose, is that it's meant to be obviously vague, and you're right, 500,000 what? Like obviously humanity, but
well, let me play devil's advocate, right? So it says maintain humanity under this number, and that's ridiculous, right? Because obviously we've got it way above that now, and it's fine, right? But it says in perpetual balance with nature, right? So at what cost are we maintaining, or actually not maintaining any number at all, right? Because the amount of animals, the amount of species that have gone extinct, there's like worldwide drought. There's, flooding, there's global warming, and by that I mean like man-made fucking greenhouse gas effect and all that shit. So by not adhering to this rule, we have certainly damaged the world. So
is this arguably what they're trying to get across? Is this the tipping point where nature can no longer sustain humanity naturally? Nature naturally? Wait, see what I did there? Is it a case that, okay, at this, it's someone's going to be losing out? because there's not enough for everybody. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it says the Guidestones are supposed to usher in an age of reason, which is very, very vague. Like, I would argue we probably live in the closest thing we have had to an age of reason.
Yeah.
So what reason are you? What tint do you want to this reason? It's all very vague and strange and
Exactly. And you can't go back. Like, you cannot, unless some whatever. I never can say that word.
cataclysmic.
Cataclysmic. Thank you. Yeah, unless there's something like huge that happens on the planet, like legitimately something that would destroy the hemisphere or whatever, a side of the globe. You could never go back to that number of people. There's 1 billion people in India alone.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So you're saying we should start with the Indians?
Yes.
Yeah.
One at a damn time. So big red line into that one. Brackets. Fuck off. Or what you mean? And hopefully, maybe we'll get old RCC on it and get him to give his views on this. So the second guideline says, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. So work out, be diverse.
I would say
sex.
the word fitness here. Yeah, I'm so every time you read these out, I'm going to play devil's advocate and defend the age
Go
of
for
reason, RCC. Fitness here applies to the survival of the fittest, the Darwinian evolutionary outlook, and by
The best genes.
Yeah, by fitness it
Yeah,
means
yeah.
the things that suit the best. And diversity means the best from everything, so that we're taking a little bit of everything and we're using that to we're taking the most reasonable aspects of each thing and we're going to use that to oh shit yo, I just learned that. Yeah, so it's actually feeding off the 500 million thing. So what it's saying is that we want 500 million people, and when it comes
cleverest.
to the cleverest, so when it comes to reproduction,
fittest,
we're gonna get the best minds. We're gonna make them fuck.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're gonna come from everywhere. I mean, it is true, right? People born out of diversity, they fare like really well. I mean, this is an outlandish example, right? But Trish Stratus, Greek father, Polish mother, like probably the most beautiful woman that has ever existed, and that wouldn't happen without that kind of crossover. So.
That's a good idea actually to piggyback from. So you're basically saying the best, 500 million. Make sure you don't get any old jabronis, people off Jeremy Kyle. They can fuck off. Make sure you get people that aren't on Jeremy Kyle. The rest of us.
This is going to sound like an argument for eugenics by the time we're done.
For Jeremy Kyle. That Jeremy Kyle is amateur eugenics, and you don't even know it. So. Get the best of the best, which, by the way, isn't always the way it works out because you can have people from, fucked up backgrounds and sort of you can surpass the intelligence of your family, and you can have athletes who were born of people with health problems.
Yeah.
So there's always exceptions to the rule, and there should be, thankfully. Thank God for that.
So this is actually this is taking on like this weird libertarian worldview that everyone starts on an even playing field, and therefore people who are failing is because of their own failures rather than socioeconomic issues and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
So it's kind of saying if there's only 500 million people, then out of that, obviously to make it this far already, you're one of the best. So be diverse, go traveling, go, have intelligence, be sharp, fit. Be Trish Stratus. That's what the second one says to me.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Trish Stratus is, Google her, and you can thank us later. Wait, that sounds creepy.
You can thank us in 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah. Go away upstairs. No, I'm kidding. So. Yeah, again, it's not the worst message you can put out because it's not saying attack people, kill people. It's just saying be diverse. But the problem with it is, as you're saying, it's that libertarian view of yeah, but everything's even.
Mm.
So if you don't achieve, you should fuck off and be killed, and just you're not part of the half a billion special people. So number 3 is unite humanity with a living new language.
Mm.
Probably not best if you're gonna write in all those other languages then, unless you're saying that one of them should be a living new language. I think that now more than ever, language is probably, I mean, due to the advent of the internet, a lot of people who don't speak, there's a lot more people who speak more than one language now than ever.
Yeah.
That's safe to say. So you can't really unite humanity under a living new language like that's above all these other ones. Again, it will take something horrendous happening to the planet where we don't have any knowledge of what we used to speak like.
Well, I actually have a counterpoint to that.
Go.
There's 2 things of interest. One is that I say they, referring to the
Marx.
fictitious puppet masters ruling the world. They tried to invent a new language that everyone would learn as their second language, and therefore everyone in the world would be able to communicate using this second language. I forget the name of it. I think William Shatner was like a major spokesperson for this language. He wanted everyone to learn it. I again forget what it's called, but if you Google William Shatner's second language, I'm sure it's going to come up fairly handily. And 2, this is a controversial point I'm about to make, but I actually think language is on the way out. Speaking in a kind of futuristic context, I think if you fast forward humanity, if we make it to about 2,000 years from now, maybe even 1,000, maybe even 600 years, I don't know, but language isn't going to exist anymore. People are going to communicate by, basically, you'll have
emojis.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, if I could anthropomorphize whatever that word is, and relate it to now, because we're not going to look like we look now in 1,000 years, no way.
No.
But we communicate way more so with devices now. We use WhatsApp, we use all these things, we use Twitter. You don't, because you're a strange man still living in even the fucking way you Googled a thing earlier speaks to your language prowess that I don't have. I'm constantly trying to take shortcuts with my language. I used to be a very articulate young man, and now I'm just a semi-articulate young man. No, now I'm just a semi-articulate
quarter
man. Can't even call myself young anymore. But yeah, I think language in general is on the way out, and people will be communicating by electronic frequencies in their brains in the future. So
it would make sense to go like that as technology advances. You don't need and also as well with quicker kind of back and forth speaking wise and thinking wise and all that and messaging wise, like you don't use a lot of different words because you want to get your point across as quickly as you can. So you have a very narrow set of words that you almost use because that's like you can get your point across that way. You don't have to elongate or just be like, oh, I'm going to use a word that, oh, yeah, how was your Monday? Oh, man, it was astronomically bad.
Yeah.
You just be like, no, it was a bit shit. And you can still make the same point for either one. And people are like, astronomically bad? That sounds horrific.
How was your Monday? It was cataclysmic. The earth was conspiring against me. It was one more ugly joke in a kingdom of millions, I tell you.
All these conglomerates coming at me, man.
Oh, the photosynthesis.
Yeah, and I just obviously I do think that it's now quite narrow, I'd say, these days. So maybe we'll speak a new language, but it won't be like it's written, like unite humanity with a living new language. Listen, it ain't gonna be language that unites humanity.
Nah, it's necessity drives humanity. I predict if we do all learn one language, it will be so that we can hurl insults at each other and know that the other person understands what you're saying.
Straight away.
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, that guy called me a glib. That means I'm a fucking idiot. And be like, yeah, you are. So for that one, I suppose if they said #woke, I'd be like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Unite humanity, #woke. So next one, number 4 says rule passion Rule passion. Should be rule with passion, surely. They shouldn't rule with passion. Holy shit, that would be the horniest man alive gets to rule. So rule passion, faith, tradition, all things with tempered reason. Okay, so you ruled those things with tempered reason. Sorry,
I think it's rule is in like command your inner, like it's saying like don't succumb to your emotional.
Be above it.
Yeah. It's about this ultimately is the thesis. This is the age of reason that they're talking about, is when people do things without passion. It's like it fucking I'm having this argument with people all the time when people are saying this guy who shot up the school in Florida. So there's a photo of his lawyer defending him, and she's got her arm around him, and people are like, she's scum for doing that. She doesn't need to put her fucking arm around him. He's scum. She doesn't need to. And it's like, all right, you are letting your emotions get the better of you here. Like, let's just zoom out a little bit and look at the fact that if she is biased against him, that is a damning indictment on the fucking process of law. And
she'll never get another job.
Yeah, exactly. It's her fucking job to defend. Yeah, so if you just preserve your empathy over your outrage and constantly try to look at things from a reasonable perspective, I don't know. It's about maintaining rationality, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same thing as if you're a doctor and a terrorist comes into your treatment table, you have to treat him just like the same as you would anyone else who had the same injuries as that person may or may not have.
Yeah.
So you can't just be like, well, let him fucking die. Yeah, but he's got information and we get to put him in. No. I say he dies because my passion.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
So, that seems reasonable, I guess. That doesn't seem tempered reason, tempered reason sounds like a Buddhist thing that could say that and be like, yeah, deal with all the situations with tempered reason, Don't let the other, especially faith, get in the way of these decisions. Fine. Cool. That one, so far, is probably the one I'm more like, again, this is in context, out of the 10. This isn't like...
Number 5, properly feeds into it, too. It's another one that's like, yep, good spin-off.
Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Yeah? I mean, you can't... unless it's the 500,000 people and 500 million people and everyone else gets fucked, but I'm guessing it is everyone at that point, but there you go. Number 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Yeah?
Sure.
Are we against that now, or?
Yeah, international human rights, things like that. Yeah, war crimes, things of that nature.
Exactly. Again, is this political at all? It doesn't sound political to me. It sounds more almost like religious.
Yeah, it does. It sounds it sounds idealistic and ideological. Well, no, sorry, not exactly ideological, but. Idealistic was the word. I should have just left it there.
Yeah. And arrogant. Because who the fuck are these people to tell what the world should be ruled by?
Yeah.
But I suppose if you are going to say, how should the world... if I go to... Give me 10 things that you should rule the world with, fairness and a world court would make sense, of course. Let's assume...
With power and greed!
Let's just assume that this goes with number 4, so it's with tempered reason. It's not corrupt. Avoid petty laws and useless officials, like umpires. Probably is what they meant there, right?
The fucking 4th guy standing behind the goal.
Yeah, the 4th linesman. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
As you know, I was actually gonna say what other people that rescue people from the beach? I keep thinking of Baywatch. Yeah, lifeguards, yeah. Isn't that weird, though, that your whole job is depending on people drowning? So do you reckon they secretly hope people drown? Just saying.
I mean, the only time I ever encountered a lifeguard was when I was, fucking 6 years old and I got sand in my eye. And the lifeguards were like, all right, let's get him, boys.
That's what I mean. It's like, I really hope that little boy drowns. Not to his death, just to the point where I can swim in, save him, and I can actually officially say that my training was worth it.
Yeah.
So again, petty laws and useless officials. This sounds like a dig at the corporate world.
Yeah, totally does. Yeah.
Could this group of people be, just sort of pseudo anarchists or sort of intellectual thinkers?
I would say they're not intellectual at all, but
Thinkers.
I will do a post inscription rant.
Yeah. Post-match analysis.
Yeah. Fucking post
Um,
mortem.
yeah, post-mortem analysis. So avoid petty laws and useless officials. So number 8 is balance personal rights with social duties. Yeah?
Yeah,
I mean...
okay. This one literally directly contradicts number 1, but okay then. We will.
Your social duty is to reduce the amount of people here
Yeah,
to 500 million, and your personal right is the fact that you get to do that.
That's
Boom.
yeah, fucking that's yeah.
So again, yeah, it's kind of contradictory there. Number 9, prize truth, beauty, and love, seeking harmony with the infinite, as Jeff Hardy would say. I wouldn't have a problem with prizing truth, beauty, and love, and seek harmony with the infinite. Do you think this is a bit idealistic at this point?
What the fuck does it mean? What the fuck is seeking harmony with the infinite? Like, what is that?
I guess it's connecting with the consciousness. That's what I'm guessing. Or is the infinite a god? But then it has a go at not letting religion be. This is what I mean. So you prize truth, beauty, and love, but you always have tempered reason. But love, by its very definition, is a chemical imbalance in your brain.
Yeah.
If you have a crush on someone, you see things that aren't really there. So if someone, if you have a crush on someone, whether it's someone you see at the bus every day, or someone you work with, or a friend, or whichever aspect of your life, that a crush apparently, in its if you don't do anything, if nothing happens, it usually lasts about 6 to 8 weeks. But 6 to 8 weeks, you are literally seeing that person as like the most amazing person. The way they'll walk around, you'll be like, man, that person just walks around. They're fucking amazing. Mm. Look at the way they just move their hand when they speak. That's fucking amazing. Look at the way they look up and down when they're trying to think of something. That's fucking amazing. Where it's just like, that's just the norm. So if you're going to add tempered reason to love, then you basically wouldn't be able to legitimately fall in love, because you almost are allowing yourself to be taken over by this chemical imbalance. Whether you're aware of it or not, it's a different story. But, listen, if you're in love with someone, realistically that out of the 7 point whatever billion people there are in the world, that person, realistically, if we're really honest, isn't the one. Because what are the odds of them living down the road from you and living in the same city or in the same country as you?
Well, if humanity is under 500 million, the odds are a lot better.
That's what I mean. So maybe they're arguing that from the top one and saying, yeah, if there's 500 million, probably easier to find the one. But maybe
they do tend to feed into each other too. So that could be a good analysis.
But I think it would be difficult to be in love and prizing beauty, which that should probably mean inner beauty, I guess. Because if it's outer beauty, then you're just like everybody else now.
I wish it expanded on what the infinite is. Like, are they just talking about like just the great beyond, just that thing that we all like, the ether, like just the thing that we all acknowledge we will be part of someday, but can't quite reconcile that with our current like worldview and situation and things like that.
And then I don't know. Is it inward or outward basically?
Yeah.
Is it time or is it thought? Again, that one, I think that like you said, if it was further explained and what everything actually meant, is it love between humanity? Is it beauty in everything and everyone? Is it truth in? Because, by the way, truth can be pretty damaging as well.
Definitely.
I don't know if you've seen that film, The Invention of Lying, with Ricky Gervais.
Nah.
Oh, a name's got reaction out of a man. conceptually it's quite an interesting film. So the world is exactly the same, but people don't lie. So he goes on a date with a girl, and this is right at the beginning. And spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen a film from 2009, and by the way, I've seen a film from 2009.
Yeah,
So
that's the weirdest thing.
get with it. But yes, the concept is you just don't lie. So he goes on a date with this girl, and she goes, "Well, I think you're a bit fat and a bit ugly." And he's like, "Okay, that's perfectly fine. I thought you were great, but since you don't like me, I have to be honest. You can fuck off because I don't like you either. Let's just that.
Yeah.
The world's everything." And then he basically, because he's a big atheist. Obviously, he's one of the one of the most famous atheists. Him and what's the other guy's name?
Dawkins.
Yeah.
Gervais is absolutely the most annoying atheist in the world. Like, he's definitely a guy who thinks he's a lot cleverer than he is because he's an atheist.
Yeah.
Fucking...
Which, by the way, I suppose you would be if you're basically saying, I don't buy any of that you people do, but you don't have to be. I mean, I like Ricky Gervais. I actually think he's awesome. But yeah, I think that is kind of dual because I think a lot of people keep asking him about it now.
Well,
so
every
talk about it.
every fucking tweet he makes is like, "Ugh, God isn't real." It's like, dude, are you fucking 16 or what? And then he's like, "Oh, are you offended? I don't care if you're offended." Like, oh God, fucking wind it in, pal.
That's the shtick. Yeah, that's the shtick that he's going with. But yeah, so in the film, he basically is quite funny. He lies about his dying, I think it's either his grandmother or his mother, and he actually, in the film, creates the idea of God. Because she's dying and everyone's like, oh my God, what's she seeing, what's she thinking? And he has this sort of pause, and he's like, she's seeing a light, and she's being welcomed by a man with white hair, and, the traditional image of what God looks like. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, that's amazing, blah, blah. So it wouldn't be, my point is, I guess, it wouldn't be raw truth. It would be just honesty. Like, I suppose you should say prize honesty, beauty in everything, and, love, positive vibes, and seek harmony with nature. But again, next one does mention nature, so nice. I don't get that one. Yeah, I don't get that either. But let's go to that one actually. So number 10, final one. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. So I said it twice. I'm not just redoing the take of saying that. But what'd you make of that then? Hey, can you just leave some room for nature? God.
Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Like, so this whole thing is obviously written with that in mind. This whole group of fucking guides. The idea is humans don't own the earth. Let's be humble. Let's share it with our fellow species and seek truth and rule by reason and all that. And like, that's great. But like, why the fuck have you written it on a thing and put it up in a hill in Georgia? And
yeah, what's your point?
It's very odd. And also, it says, like, this fucking RCC cunt was like, it's for a group of really patriotic and loyal Americans, and none of these things have anything to do with America.
Patriarchy and Americanism,
American philosophy, or anything like that. It's really, really weird. Like this fucking thing is 20 feet in the air. I don't know. I think that this is some guy who has lots of money for whatever reason. Why did people have money in the 50s? I don't know. He built the railroads maybe, or like he invented the people talking really fast in movies in black and white or something. I don't know. Whatever people did in the past. And he read a book by like some pseudo-intellectual. He read like the fucking Secret, whatever the Secret was in 1959. And he was like, that's it. I know
PUA guide to the world.
Yeah.
Player's guide. Yeah. The shorthand guide to how the planet should be.
Yeah, and then he was like, all right, so I have figured it all out, and I'm going to tell people how to do it. And I also think there's like this other like self-aggrandizing dickwave aspect of building a huge thing and having it be deliberately mysterious just so that fucking cunts like us make a podcast about it.
Yeah.
So, because I would definitely do that. I've tweeted some insane things in the past that I've just I was like, I'm just gonna let this float out there and see what happens. If I had lots of money, I would definitely be trolling people.
I think that's a very good point, and I think that maybe this person was aware what history tends to remember and perceive.
Yeah, exactly.
Way down the line. So it's a little bit like you get this with those history sort of shows where they go to, say, pick a country, any country, go back there in the past, and they'll talk to some expert, and the expert will say, so we found this stone. It's shaped like a triangle in this guy's house. They must have worshipped it. They must have thought that this was their god. And you're like, really? Because if this whole planet gets hit by a fucking atomic bomb, asteroid, comet, whatever, and they find my vape, my mod, and they go, yeah, this looks about a couple of thousand years old now. They must have worshipped this mod.
But they'd be right in that aspect. To be fair, with the vape
I do
thing.
worship the mod, but I don't think the mod is God. Even though that's a good emblem, that's a good slogan.
Yeah.
They'll find a glove and it'll be like, oh, I bet they put this on when they wanted to pray, and it's like, sometimes a glove's a glove. Just ask Michael Jackson. A glove's a glove, and I just like wearing the glove. So you could argue that, say that something catastrophic does happen to the planet within the next 100, 200 years, and this fucking thing stays. People will go back and say, this is probably what they, if there's no evidence of anything before this, or there's scant evidence of what it means, because, again, there's new languages and there's evolution and all that, and stuff gets broken, forgotten, or unfound. So they go, okay, look at this. This must have been what it was like back then. And they sound like amazing people,
Here's a cool fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of our existence in this century is in the cloud, or it's encrypted, it's in servers. If all of that goes away, and people have because we don't really even bookkeeping in investment banks and stuff is done on computers now, and it's all encrypted information, and it's stored digitally rather than on paper. If something happened that got rid of all of that, what
would you do? Yeah. What would you reference it?
Well, yeah. How would historians recollect or attempt to recollect our existence, if not for these stones?
Yeah, but I guess it's that thing where it's like history is written by the victors. So whoever survived out of that would then say all the banks have this complicated system. It's encrypted, you don't know what it is. Or they could just as easily go, there's this rock in Georgia that actually tells you what we used to work like. And I can say that because it's the closest thing of that I found, because I don't remember anything of my time or the time before that. So this is the point where the story, here's where it gets crazy. The point of the story where the analysis of this comes mostly from right-wing conspiracy theorists who think this is a very new world, orderly, so just to name two of the lads that talk about this, Mark Dice, he said that the Guidestones should be smashed into a million pieces and then rubble used for a construction project. Why? Claiming that the Guidestones are a deep satanic origin. If that's satanic, okay, minus the population bit, but conceptually, the whole other bits, yes, they're arrogant, yes, you can say it's someone playing God, but are they really Satan?
Are they
the devil?
Are they even objectively bad?
No.
Is anything in there you can get there, but
they're purposely vague and a little bit frustrating because you want to contextualize that to what you mean. But I wouldn't be like, man, we just went through them one by one. At no point did the word Satanist come up.
No.
At all. So, and we are looking at these with the same eyes, and different brain, obviously, because if you're of that ilk of person, you would just be like, don't understand it, must be Satan.
Yeah.
And that guy's known for that. Trust me, I've read one of his books, believe me. So people relate it to the New World Order, like all the time, and I don't understand why. Because we're doing research for this. I saw pictures of the fucking Ted Turner, because he's a Freemason. A bunch of other sort of, your typical unsavory, let's prop them up, the Freemasons, Illuminati, George Soros, obviously.
The Jews.
The Jews, Benjamin Netanyahu, no. Odd, this.
Yeah.
Or was it, in fact, the current president of the United States? Because if you're going to point the fingers at anybody, then it might as well be anybody basically it could fit any person or religion or group that you could point to that you don't like or you have prejudice against and say it was them.
Yeah, listen, I could say it was Donald Trump because number 10, be not a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature, leave room for nature. That repeating the same thing over and over again, that's straight out of that motherfucker's handbook. So
that's a tweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So you could say it's Donald Trump, and I could tell you it was Osama bin Laden. Like, who? And I could be like, yeah, look at him. He hates people. He only wants 500 million to be left. Probably his mates. Ta-da! And Alex Jones
Osama bin Laden always
it.
been a popular fella.
Yeah, he mentioned Alex Jones mentioned that the Guidestones are a harbinger. Is it Jer or Ger?
It's Jer. I'm pretty sure it's Jer.
Jer, yeah. Of self-appointed elites who intend on exterminating the most of the world's populations. Why would they write that? Why wouldn't they just do it?
Yeah, this is the thing that really this is what I don't understand about the people who believe in the Illuminati and that fucking Jay-Z and Beyonce are gonna like, oh look, I've decoded it from this music video. Like, listen, if they're operating in the shadows pulling the strings, you're not gonna fucking see it in a music video, are you? They're not gonna leave breadcrumbs. Like, life is not a TV show. Like,
things aren't all leading to one big thing. Now, you could say that, mysterious murders, mysterious crimes, and mysterious deaths. Yes, you could potentially put that together and say, yeah, there's some dark entities here at work. But why the fuck would Katy Perry put a fucking eye on it, and then they go, oh, it's to distract us from what's really going on. So why are they leaving clues then?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you can't have it both ways and say it's both an acknowledgement and a distraction, because then it's neither. It's just a thing. And that's usually what it is. To me, this just seems like someone who probably had a bit of money, probably had a bit of, probably read things quite old, I reckon. Because it seems to be written in a weirdly old way as well. And probably just thought, yeah, I think the world should live like this. Purposely didn't want to be known. Yeah. So that we talk about it.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think the entire thing is set up to kind of gain as much attention as possible. Yeah. Obviously, they could do more things to attract attention, but I think they want it to be mysterious because it's that kind of like ethereal tread that people have where they. Plus, if you can imagine this in a pre-internet world, like just stumbling across a thing like this. And then trying to study it in a fucking library, going through encyclopedias and stuff, trying to figure it out, and finding nothing about it. Like, that is mysterious, and that's wacky, and that's the type of thing that you make TV shows about, and that's the type of thing that you speculate on. And I think, in fact, giving it that new light of having no internet at the time, I'm pretty sure that we've hit the nail on the head, and that is what it is. It's someone...
Big troll coming in.
Some
troll from the 70s.
Some billionaire waving his dick around, showing what he can do.
And the weird thing is, though, like, it's not even like its story is untraceable, because you can Google it and you can have some, I'm sure you can look up some of the people that were involved or worked for the companies that were there and were like, yeah, he came over, told me to do this, and we did it.
Yeah.
Whoa, is he a Satanist? It's like, nah, he just looked like a very rich person. So, Yoko Ono, who we often don't talk about, if ever, she praised it.
Of course she fucking did.
She called it a stirring call to rational thinking. She's allowed to say that, though. Just as the other people are allowed to say it's Satanist.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anyone's right or wrong. To me, personally, I can take... Like, I could look at those things for about a week, right? And probably smoke a shitload of weed and be like, I know what it means. That's my interpretation of it.
Same. I definitely could.
Like, to have 500 million people is probably more sustainable than having 8 billion people, almost 8 billion people, I think, in the next couple of years, if not.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, the eradication of species on the planet is directly proportional to the number of people there are on the planet, and that's logical. So, I get the idea, but it's wishful
Leaving
thinking.
room for nature. Maybe that person was looking at what they're doing to the Amazon and going, leave room for them. And you know what's pretty cool about the Amazon that I found out?
They deliver in one day with Prime Click.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos did it. Leave room for Amazon. Leave room for... But the rainforests, they found certain bits on the edges, outskirts, that were actually man-planted. Which means that at the time, wherever humans or tribes were there, they actually saw the fucking thing and were like, we get food, we get water, there's all this harmony here, let's build this further and expand it. That's pretty cool.
That's wacky.
That's like, because you'd think they'd go in there and be like, yeah, let's destroy this, eat this. They're like, no. We understand what this, because the rainwater, and they can fall into things, so they can drink water. Like, it's, so I guess the leaving room for nature thing, it's that. It's, let it have its space there, obviously add to it, whatever. Don't be in cancer, so don't burn it down or destroy it, and leave room to it. To me, that's probably the strongest one. That's the only one that legitimately resonates with me because, you can't eat money and you can't eat, well, you can, just wouldn't taste very nice.
I like to have it in a salad.
Yeah. What are you having for dinner? Oh, a 3-pound meal deal. Oh, yeah, what sandwich? What packet of... No, I'm literally having 3 pounds as a meal, and it's a pretty good deal. Awesome.
All right, let's a note to close it on. What would we...
I say...
Unite humanity with a new living language.
What in terms of what? In terms of what's bullshit and what...
What do we think... maybe we should
make of it.
yeah. No, let's. Let's ask the list. Let's open it up to the listeners. Sound off.
Yeah, let me know if we've got this completely wrong and we're seeing it from kind of silly point of view, and it's actually far more sort of as more darker meanings that we can think right now.
Yeah, and also let us know what conspiracy theory you want us to talk about next. That would be pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. For me, by the way, all of this just sounds like there was no end game for this.
Yeah,
it was just a group of people. Let's just say a group of maybe they were Freemasons, maybe they were Illuminati, and maybe they did think this is how we think the world is. Rich does often mean powerful, but it doesn't mean satanic. Okay, there's a little bit of a difference there. If this is say, the 10 richest people in the world, this is their view of what they think the world should be.
Yeah.
Well, be less vague, number one, motherfucker. And number two, let them write that. You're more than welcome to disagree. But for me, the bit that I probably have issue with, it's everything's got to have like a super dark meaning. Like, this is not only Satanist, it's rich Satanist, and it should be smashed, and it's the elites who did it. It's like, it probably is the elites who did it. You can be spot on with that, but I think the rest of it is just like, it's just the same shit that people probably say when they're really high and you're sat around the magic circle and you're like, hey man, we should avoid petty laws and useless officials. Yeah. If you say, other than number one, but if you say all the others quite high, I think everyone in the room be like, yeah, man, that's...
Yeah, I agree.
So a bunch of stoned rich dudes. There you go.
All right.
7 Guidestones out of 10. Yeah, what do you make of it though?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a big bunch of shit, and it was just some rich guy dicking around with his checkbook, and I don't know. I can't see anything sinister in something that is so deliberately spiritual and earthly, you know?
Do you know what it reminds me of? Reminds me of Denver Airport.
Yeah, me too. We'll get into
More on
that.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, like, thanks for listening. Check out our wrestling podcast.
Links in the description, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, let me know. Let us know what you guys think, and yeah, enjoy.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.